Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Two Moms, Too Much Coffee. We have Tempest here, and we also have,
Trishelle, hey guys.
hey, how has
Hello.
life been this past week for you?
I mean, if you can't tell, glasses on, crew neck on, I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And guys, this is the first time me and Tiffany have recorded the podcast at this late. It is 8 p.m.
hmm
But we love you guys. So life has been good. Um, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like sleep just in general. Naya slept terribly Thursday night going into Friday. Terribly. Like the outlet said
hmm
she had a total of 7 wake ups,
Oof.
yeah, which is crazy. There were points in time where she was just looking at us for like an hour to hour and a half, just would not go back down, would go back down, wake up 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later. So I feel like I'm still recovering from that. But she slept through the night last night. So I mean, like, what are you gonna do?
I love it.
But she is saying a lot of mamas, which is so
Mhm.
cute. And she has two
So
teeth
sweet.
that have popped out.
2 teeth is wild. When do we
Two
have,
teeth.
we have kids old enough to have teeth?
I
What
know.
the heck?
I know, crazy. I now when she like smiles, you can see them like popping up, which I don't even know how we missed it because like we've been checking and nothing was there. The pediatrician checked at her last appointment and then they just were here. So I don't know, but yeah, crazy
Yeah.
things happening over here. But other than that, just and preparing to go on my another work trip.
Oh, that's coming
So
up. Oh my
yeah, in
goodness.
about
How
2
long
weeks.
how long are you gonna be on that one?
Wednesday to Saturday.
What do you mean by Saturday?
I fly back Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I get there Wednesday in the daytime and then I leave early morning on Saturday. So I'll get home at like 12 p.m. on Saturday. So a lot longer. Well, not a lot, but it feels like a lot longer
Yeah.
compared to my last one. My last one was literally like a 2-day turnaround. So yeah, I am nervous just because we're adding in other elements. Like she does a bottle of formula now. We have solids we're doing now. So just like different things Nick is gonna have to manage compared to last time. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see
Well,
how it goes.
I'm sure she will be great while you're gone. He will be great while you're gone, and hopefully it goes very quickly for you because that does feel like a long time.
It
And
does.
like creeping into the weekend is annoying.
Yes, yes, it does feel very long. So we'll see how it goes. I know it's like just little things like daycare now. We didn't have daycare last time we had the nanny. So just different elements, but it'll be fine. We'll be fine. Nick will be fine. So telling my mama
Yeah.
heart it'll be good.
Exactly, and it will be. It'll be
Yeah.
totally fine.
How are you?
Yeah. I'm doing good. I actually have had a heavy social week this week,
Yeah.
which is actually been very nice to like get out and like not just feel like a mom, but
Mm.
like a human as well. Although, hey, moms are human, I guess. But it feels really nice. So I actually have gone out of the 7 days this week, I think I've gone out 4 of them. I feel like
Okay.
I'm yeah, like, I'm, like, back in, like, I don't know, college? Not college. I'm back in after college when I was, like, almost out every day. Um, and, props to Adam. He's been holding down the fort for me,
Okay.
while I go out and do my various things, at different times too. Like some of them are like immediately when he gets off work, and some were like after the kids go to sleep, and some were like today was in the middle of the day. And so like he's been handling it, which has been great because I've been able
Mm.
to go out and do some cool things and see the city more than I have, because mostly for me, I'm like, well, what type of things can a kid do there?
Mhm.
And so it's been nice
Yeah.
that I could just go out for me and, fill up my social cup that has been severely depleted in this
Mm.
motherhood stage. So
Yeah.
it's a good week. It's a really nice week. And Sequoia has been babbling like crazy. I'm so happy because I was very
Mm,
nervous
you
about it.
were. Yes, you were.
Like like, "She's not babbling."
You're like, "She's only
Uh
screaming."
She really was just screaming her head off, though, and it's so funny because 'cause I'm like, "Why is she screaming?" And then you watch Abel just scream in her face, and I'm like, "Well, I guess maybe she's learning it from her brother."
Yes.
Who knows? So that has been a really fun change because she's babbling and sleeping better, and she'll, like, talk back and forth too with her babbling,
Mhm.
which is so
Yeah.
cute, and she is pulling herself to stand, so much. Like, I am like, "Girl, what are you doing?" But she's just, like, is hanging with her brother. Like, she's
I
like, "I need to
love
be
that.
right next to him." And so she is trying her best to do everything but crawl like a normal baby. 'Cause she's still army crawling, but she's fast. She's very fast.
Yes, you sent me a video of her army crawling, and I was like, "At least she's fast." She was, like,
Yeah,
super speed.
yeah,
Yeah,
super
she's like,
speed for
"So
sure.
why would I do this in quadruped when I am a lot quicker on my belly? Like, why would I do that?"
Yeah, we use words like quadruped ped.
Alrighty. All fours. Why would I do
Uh,
this on all fours when I can do this on my my
oh,
bad.
that's funny. Yeah. No, hey, I'm learning something new, which is great. Um, but yeah, so it's been a great week, and, yeah, that's probably about it, actually.
I love that. I love that you're filling up your social cup. When you fill up your social cup though, do you like does it overfill sometimes and then now it's full and then or is that just me? Or then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
It's not me. I literally today I was invited to do something I didn't get to do because I had something else planned, and I was like, "Well, how do I maneuver around so I could get to do both?" And yeah, no. I don't think my social cup can be too full.
Oh
I
my
I
god.
enjoy going to see and talk to people all the time.
I love that. Me and Nick are, I guess, just made for each other in that because we look at each other at a party like, time is your cup full? Because my cup's full. And then we're like, we're out of there. And then we're good for the rest of the week. Yeah. I wasn't always like that. And I don't really know what happened.
Yeah, that actually sounds like Adam, where he's like, "I wanna leave," and I'm like, "Why? You don't wanna be the last people here? That's my favorite part." Well.
He's like, I'm good. I love that. So today we are going to hear a story from Tempest. We're going to hear Abel's birth story because it's NICU Awareness Month. And as Tempest has shared a couple of times before, Abel did spend some time in the NICU, but she wanted to share the story, give it justice, and really just kind of spend more time in expressing kind of how her experience was. And so she's going to share that with us. We are going to put a trigger warning here. There are just some traumatic pieces of it. So if you've had any experiences with trauma during your birth or NICU or anything like that, this is probably where you should pause and maybe come back and listen at another time. But all right, Tempest, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do think it's a story that it's hard to tell only because it is like, I see this beautiful human I made and
Hmm.
he's fantastic. And so thinking back to, like, these times with him is always hard because he's so perfect, and it's like I couldn't imagine that, like, it's a possibility I could have lost him, and, like, that is it's so scary to, like, even remotely, you know, think about that, but it's super healthy
Yeah.
to talk it through because, I don't wanna hold that in, and so, of course, I love sharing it,
Yeah.
and I also am seeing through the various women in my life who have birthed beautiful children, a lot of them also have NICU stories,
Hmm.
and while I think my birth was fairly traumatic, the NICU portion of it wasn't as bad as some other people,
Hmm.
which I will get to. Okay, so I am actually going to skip over the labor portion
Okay.
because it was a long labor. It started on Sunday. I birthed Abel on a Wednesday at
Mm.
8 PM. So, if you wanna get into that a little bit, it basically was on and off contractions and bloody shows, and it was a lot of just, like, sit around waiting while I had contractions. I ended up with the labor portion, I'm sorry, labor before I get to the hospital is what I was gonna skip over, but while before I got to the hospital, I had 268 contractions based on the app I was using. So, it was a lot.
Oh.
And I just, like I'm happy that I have a really high pain tolerance because I just was sitting there forever just being like, "I'm ready for this to, like, move along." And fun enough, it doesn't. My story does not move along. It is just, like, trudging along in some heavy mud. Um, but basically, by the time I get to the hospital, it is, let's see what day it would be. It would be Tuesday morning. Or I'm sorry, it's Tuesday at 10 PM, I get to the hospital after laboring for a couple of days. And I'm at this hospital and I get there and they don't have a room available because I'm early, 4 days early. And so they don't have a room available. So I'm in the triage space. And if you don't know the triage space very well, it is it's like when you go into a hospital, it's kind of just like one of those rooms. Like it has a
Mm.
bed, it has a chair, um, and it kinda is that's it. Like, they don't really have much for you in there. Um, and so I got in there, they checked my cervix. I was, 4 centimeters dilated at that point, and, um just kind of waiting it out. And the worst part is that my mom was there with us and Adam was there and my doula was not there yet, but they only allow one visitor in your when you're in triage. And so Adam and my mom had to keep like switching in and out and sitting in the waiting room for hours because I ended up being in triage for 6 hours.
My god.
Which is crazy. It didn't feel like it at the time because I was just kind of going through the motions, but 6 hours is insane, especially now knowing you are supposed to be in triage for like 30 minutes. Like it should not be long at
Mm.
all. And so by the time I got into the birthing room, I was in so much pain. I was so exhausted. I was like, give me an epidural right now. And they did. They came in, gave me an epidural. It didn't work.
Mm.
Um, and I do know now after having Sequoia that some reason where everybody else gets an epidural, mine is a little higher. So now I know. And I don't know. If you ever need to give me an epidural, just know it's a little higher than everybody else's.
Locked in, noted.
I know, yeah, right, exactly. So when you're getting an epidural, you have to, like, round your belly,
Mm.
and, like, round out your back, but for me, I have a whole big old belly
Mhm.
in front of me. I could not, like, round my back, and I rounded it, and all of a sudden my water breaks, and so it is just, like, disgusting, like, just, like, a mess of water everywhere,
Mhm.
and, but then I was able to round my back, which was nice. And so after that, they gave me the epidural the second time, and it did end up working. I was able to get a little bit of sleep. We put out like like a
Oh, okay.
aroma mist, and so there's like a eucalyptus and a bunch of fake candles around. So it was a very like pleasant room. It felt really nice. Everybody was able to sleep. Um, for like about 2 hours, and then I could feel my toes again, which is not great.
Mm.
You're not supposed to feel anything, well, not like nothing, but you shouldn't
Mhm.
feel a lot. And the fact that I had felt my toe or hadn't before was an indication that my epidural was wearing off, which was frustrating. And so at this point, it's now somewhere at like Wednesday morning ish. And so they were like, "You're not really moving along that much." They had checked me. I'm not really sure where I was at with the being checked, but they checked me. I wasn't really moving along that much, so they suggested Pitocin. They ended up giving me Pitocin, but then I like started shivering, like I was
Mm,
super cold, like a shiver like that, but I wasn't cold. I just like my body like just started shivering, and it was like very intense. I hated it, and then I know, like, it just they were giving me the Pitocin, and I could just feel everything just more and more, and it was terrible. Like, I just was like, "What is happening?" And so I told them to, like, give me the lowest dose possible for, the epidural because, like, it was just
mhm,
making me feel, like, super weird.
mhm,
And then it just ended up where I could feel everything, and the epidural just didn't work. And so that was about like, like every 30 to 60 minutes, they would come in and they would change positions for me so I could get more, so I could start moving along and progressing. And then at around like 2 or 3 o'clock, I was 9.5 centimeters dilated. So if you remember, I said I didn't
mhm.
birth Abel till 8 p.m. So I was 9.5 centimeters dilated around 2 or 3. And then around 5, it just like, I just was not getting any further than, like, the 9.5 centimeters for whatever reason. I had a wonderful nurse.
Mm,
Shout out to the nurses. She just was there for me. She ended up, which I don't know how often this happens, but she ended up staying throughout me pushing even though her shift was over.
wow.
Because I think her shift was over at 7. I think that they do 7 to 7 there, and I didn't birth able till 8. So
Mm,
she was just in there with me, helping me with everything, and I think that she's one of the reasons why I didn't tear because
mm,
she was in there just flexing everything inside of there. I don't even know what all of that's called, but she was just definitely in there making sure everything was stretched appropriately
yeah,
while I was pushing. They ended up because I was like, I don't wanna give birth without without medication. Like, I had
yeah,
no desire to go in there and birth naturally. I was not one of those women. I wanted
mhm,
an epidural. I was like, "I don't wanna do all this." So, they ended up giving me fentanyl, which
mm,
is wild.
mhm,
However, fantastic drug. I get it. I get it. And I only had, like, the medical dose.
yeah,
I did not feel it wasn't like I didn't feel pain, but it certainly just, like, kinda took the edge off,
mm,
and that was really nice. So, Abel was, like, up really high on me, which was the issue. He was up at, like a +2 position, which it goes, like, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2.
wow.
And Abel I was 9.5 centimeters dilated, and Abel was +2. Um, and so they basically were just like, "Let's try and push him out." And so we did try to start around 6:30, and, when that was happening, that my fentanyl started wearing off because it only
Mm,
lasts for about 2 hours, and they gave it to me around 5. And so I felt everything. So, like, all my drugs wore off at the wrong time.
mhm,
Right when I needed them to be there, they all wore off. So I'd given a epidural shot in my back twice, and I was given a fentanyl, and I still felt everything. The ring of fire was
mm,
terrible, and going from not feeling much to 9 centimeter dilated contractions is the worst. I think
mm,
if I would have just not had any drugs and was just working through it, it wouldn't have felt so bad, but it basically went from, like, not feeling anything to, like, feeling everything, and
mhm,
so it was terrible,
yeah,
but pushing lasted about an hour and a half, and the doctors told me I did a great job, which is great. 'Cause, who doesn't want kudos for,
pushing
pushing
a
out
baby
babies?
out, yeah,
Exactly. But unfortunately, during like the last couple pushes, with Abel, he swallowed Meconium and
mhm,
amniotic fluid. There is a medical term for it, but I don't know it. And the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck twice, and it was knotted. And so this part's a little bit of a blur for me, because I couldn't see anything because I didn't have a mirror, so I couldn't really see anything. But basically, when he came out, he was not crying at all. He was blue-ish, blue gray color. There's a term called an APGAR score where like
Mhm.
you can get, I think it's like 0 to 9.
Yeah.
And Abel got a 0. Like, he was, which
Oh,
basically means, like,
I
nothing.
wasn't doing
Like, there
anything. Yeah.
yeah, he's got nothing in there.
Mhm.
And, so he comes out, and Adam was supposed to cut the cord, and he didn't get a chance to because every single person in that room rushed over to us. And so somebody cut his cord. I have no idea who. They put Abel on top of me, which later on, I think like a few months later, when I talked to my doctor about this, she was like, I cannot believe they did that. They should not have put him on top of you. And like, I kind of have like visions of like my non-breathing child on me that is blue, still. So I agree. They shouldn't have done that to me. Um, but they're like trying to suck all of the Meconium out of his throat. So they put him on me for 2 seconds, really, put him over to the warming bed, and it was like a team of people trying to get this kid to breathe. I was wailing. Like, I am not a crier, and it was I was like, I just didn't know what was going on. My mom was in there. Some reason my dad was in there. I still to this day don't understand how and why he was in that room.
Yeah.
I don't mind whatsoever. I love my dad. I'm happy he was there, but it was very confusing. I
Yeah.
don't
He
know why
wasn't
he
in
showed
there when
up.
you were pushing, like, you
No.
just remember him being in there at that moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was it I my mom said that she had called him.
Mm.
I just don't know, like, I think it's appropriate, though, because I
Yeah.
think I needed everybody there at that
Mhm.
time. Um, so basically the deal is, like, "Adam, go over to Abel. You need to be over there right now," because we had no idea, like, what would happen. And so, Adam was over there with Abel. My dad was sitting there with me. My doula was going back and forth, telling us, like, giving me updates on, like, what's going on. And all of that time, I'm birthing the placenta, like, because you have to birth the placenta. And so, like, they're like pushing on my stomach. I'm screaming my head off, not in pain, in horror, really. And so then they get him to breathe a little bit before he left, and so they put him back on me. He's got a little bit of color, but they put him on me for 2 seconds again and then left and took him to the NICU. And then I was, like, basically left alone in this room. So it was at that time, 8:30, and visiting hours ended at 9. And so my parents stayed with me for the 30 minutes they were allowed to. They were kicked out. And so it was just me and my doula in the room with me, and Adam and Abel were in the NICU. I just like I was just all alone. Like, and
Wow.
not no knock to my doula, but like, we're not besties. And
Mm.
I just went through a very traumatic event,
Mhm.
and I had no idea who are you and where
Mhm.
is my family and what the heck just happened?
Mhm.
And so basically I was like, "Hey, doula, can you please go get Adam, um, so I can just talk to somebody and figure out what the heck's going on." So she did. She went and stayed with Abel in the NICU, and Adam came back, and we're both just crying. It was awful. And he's like, they were able to get him to breathe. He had a CPAP machine, which a CPAP, I never looked up any of this stuff, so I'm just gonna describe what it looks like, and I can also put a picture if you're looking um, at the video. But a CPAP, it's like covers your nose and your mouth. It's got a lot of bubbles in it, like water bubbles, and it basically helps them to breathe for some reason. And then he also has an IV. And so after about 2 hours of me being in this room, basically alone in between Adam and the doula coming back and forth, I'm finally able to go see Abel. And it was like just, like, heartbreaking to see him just, like, strapped to all of these wires. And this is my first kid, so I don't even know what it's supposed to be like. Now I know having Sequoia that, like, that part after birth is, like, really nice. Like, they just sit
Mhm.
on you, like, Sequoia, ate from me, like, within the first, like, 30 minutes, like, things that I just did not get with Abel because he was just, like, shipped off to the NICU, and then when I did see him, he's in a box covered
Mhm.
in wires, that is just, like, it's just terrible to see your kid that way, but what I mean, like I said, my NICU story is not as terrible as a lot of people because, by the time that I go to see him, they allow me to do skin to skin with him, and so I'm sitting on a chair doing skin to skin. I'm allowed to co-sleep with him because they have him hooked up to all the monitors, which
Mm,
is
yeah.
really nice. So I did get to, like, doze off to sleep a little bit. I do remember when I first saw him, like, I was, like, touching him through the into the box, like, while he's sitting there, and the nurse was like, don't just touch him like that, it probably tickles him, like, you have to, like, make sure you're like, it's a
Mm,
firm touch."
yeah.
And I was like, okay." I don't know why that just it's just, like, stuck
Yeah.
in my head. But so that was probably around 11 p.m., and then, once we went off to sleep together for a little bit, probably about 30 minutes later, the nurse came in, and she said that he was breathing really well on his own, and so they did take the CPAP machine off around midnight. So that means that he was born at 8, and then the CPAP machine was off by
Mm,
midnight, so he was doing great. We got donor milk for
mm,
him to eat. He had to get to a certain weight and a certain temperature before he could leave,
okay.
the NICU, but basically because he was breathing on his own, they just wanted to monitor him for a little bit. Since he was full term, he was one of the largest babies in there.
Mm,
Um, but there was a portion, I went to go sleep at, I think, like 2 or 3 a.m., and Adam came and stayed with Abel, and there was a portion of the night when Adam was holding him, and he accidentally took out the IV of
mm,
Abel's arm, so it was, like, very bloody,
wow.
and they had to, like, put a new IV in him, and they, like, couldn't do it. They
Mhm,
didn't have, like, the right needle,
mm,
and he still has a scar from that. Like, I'm still kind of and I don't know if I'm gonna be like, "Hey, that's your IV scar,"
yeah.
or if I'm just gonna be like, because it looks kinda like a birthmark, but I know that it's from that,
Mm,
which I guess technically is kind of a birthmark.
yeah.
Um, that's just a side note. So, by the time it's like 2 or 3, I was able to sleep a little bit, and then we were just kind of in and out of the NICU for a little bit, just checking in on him and trying to get some rest. My parents were going in on and seeing him too, and then he was eating fine. He got the donor milk that, we asked for, and then, his only issue then was his temperature.
Mm,
I think it has to be, like, in the 98s, and his was in the 97s.
mhm,
And it went up to 98 something, like, very briefly, and then they're like, "Okay, now you can leave," which is crazy because actually for the longest time afterwards, because I was, like, hyper focused on
mhm,
everything medical with him
definitely.
for a long time, worried about, like, development things and whatever, but I took his temperature every night for a long
Mm,
time. He's always in the 97s. That's just where he
mm,
lives. He lives in the
mm,
97, so it's funny that they're like, "Well, we need him to get to a number that clearly is not his number." So he's probably fine then. Okay, so by the time that his temperature was where it's supposed to be, it was around 8 p.m. the next day. And so he was actually only in the NICU for 24 hours,
mm,
which was, like I said, it's one of the better NICU stories.
yeah.
And then he ended up, not having any developmental delays from any of that experience, which is great as well. We do think that he is a little bit more anxious than
Mm,
his sister. We decided that it's likely due to the way that he was born because it's so
mm,
traumatic. And so he's probably just like hyper aware of his surroundings. So he didn't get skin to skin right when he was born. And we
Right.
think maybe that might be something. Well, who knows? It could just be his personality.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, we're really lucky because he is fantastic. He's super smart. He's super sweet. He just like made a friend at the park yesterday, like just like and who was 5 years old too. Just
Mhm.
like he's like he loves everybody loves him, and so he's the best. And so that
Yeah.
was it's my NICU story.
Wow.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when you had texted me when you went into labor, and
Mhm.
then I can't remember. I think your sister maybe had texted me. Someone had texted me that you were like giving me updates, but then you had kind of went radio silent. I think maybe your sister texted me or your sister had texted my sister and she had told me something along those lines. And then you had texted me that he was born and his name, and then you were like, "I don't want to dig into my story just yet. I'm very, like, traumatized, but one day I'll share it." And this is actually the first time I've heard the whole thing. I think I've heard, we've talked about bits and pieces, but you've always been
Yeah.
very, like, delicate on telling your story to someone just in case it traumatizes them as well.
Yes.
So I knew what had happened at birth and like the NICU and things like that just from like, us talking about concerns of like CP and things like that. But yeah, I did not know like every single detail of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely the experience was certainly different than Sequoia's.
Mhm.
Both traumatizing in their own right, but for different reasons. I would never want to do either one of them again. But I certainly the NICU experience. I think one good thing, which I know a lot of people like, want home births and whatnot, and to each their own. But I mean, we would have lost Abel if we did a home birth. And so it's just like, so I'm very thankful that not only did I gave birth in a hospital, but that hospital as well has a NICU that is from the Children's Hospital. And
Mhm.
so that's in our town. And so it's like a children's hospital NICU. So they're just very present. They knew exactly what they were doing. It is really I'm grateful for it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It definitely is just eye-opening of just how different, like, people's stories are. Like, one of my best friends, she just had a home birth, so and everything
Mhm.
was, but, like, I wouldn't be able to because I have a fibroid, and so, like,
Right.
who knows what could happen with my fibroid, so it's just birth is just scary in general, and it shouldn't be, and you want it to just be like everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, but it is nerve-wracking, and then, add in the layer of being an African American woman, but it's the unknowns is what it is. It's
Mhm.
the unknowns and there's so many different possibilities of this and the what ifs and all of the things that can go wrong, and then you try to tell yourself things are not gonna go wrong, and then you end up having, like, a story like yours where you're like, "Seriously?" Like, I tried
Yeah.
not to think that this would go wrong, and then things are going wrong. But you did end up having a very beautiful baby, and we love Abel so much, and he honestly
Yeah.
is so smart and he's just so sweet, and I'm glad that everything worked out and that he's here with us.
Yeah.
It's
The
just yeah,
same.
yeah.
Same. The key yeah. It's you know, things happen and you move
Mhm,
past them, but,
mhm.
I do like I said, I just heard some terrible stories
Yeah,
with NICUs. So, like, I like, struggle to be like, "Oh, I have a NICU story," when I know that, like, I currently have a friend whose kid just got out of the NICU, was there for over 2 weeks, 'cause he was born prematurely. I had another friend whose kid was in the NICU for a month because his mom got in a car crash, got preeclampsia, had to birth over a month early, and it's so crazy. It's just like there's just so many things that, like, could
mhm,
go wrong that makes it, like, really lucky that you have the NICU experience,
mhm.
or you have the NICU available because,
Yeah,
like, they're all healthy kids now. They're all happy,
mhm.
healthy kids, and, it's just, scary at the time, and then you get a nice big bill, which is
Yeah, of
great.
course,
I loved it.
Yeah, I could go on about that, but yeah, it's crazy because I mean, I would see all the kids, all the infants that would come over from the NICU and like all of their stories being so different, but then like seeing how they progressed was honestly, obviously one of the best parts of my job. But it's just there would be some that would was in the NICU for a month and some that would be in the NICU for 3 months, and
Mhm.
I mean, it's just yeah, the NICU, I'm sure like all NICU moms and families, I'm just like, you guys are on another level because it does take away, just like you said, that moment of like that skin to skin and them being able to latch on immediately and like pieces that, you can't recreate with that child. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, like, so wild because there's so many like, I see so many videos of, like, the happy quick births, and I'm just like, "I don't is my body incapable of doing this? Like, do you just want me to have a little bit of extra trauma? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah. I have a fear, and this is my fear of having, because I think it goes either way. I had a
Mm.
happy quick birth. Now my issue is that I ran out of my luck. So I'm like, I have more anxiety actually, because I'm
Yeah,
like, not saying more anxiety than you, but I have more anxiety than I did before because I'm like,
right,
"Ooh, so do I wanna do this again and then, like, end up needing a C-section or end
right.
up something happening because I got lucky the first time?" And now I'm like, "Ooh, well, maybe I don't."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it makes you feel any better, to be honest. I'm still very
No.
stressed about having another kid. I'm like, "Oh, man." Mm.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, we literally talk about it all the time how we're like, well, first time could be, shitty luck. Second time, okay, are we really gonna do it a third time thinking it's gonna be different? Like, clearly, we're over here like, my kids love to sit high up on
I was
in my
gonna say
stomach.
they're cozy in there.
They love it. I'm so warm. And they're like, I'm not going anywhere.
And that's the thing, I feel like Naya was always pretty low, like, I don't know, everyone's always like, "Oh, does she feel lower?" And I'm like, "She feels the same as she did 2 weeks ago." I don't know, I didn't really
Yeah.
ever notice any difference, but maybe I was supposed to, but I don't know. So you, I think, were the first ones that had asked me like, "Oh, is she a 2 positive or whatever?" And I was like, "I don't know. My doctor did not tell me, she just came on out. I
Yeah.
don't really know." But yeah, so the fact that he was up so high and they were like, "Just start pushing,"
Yeah.
is yeah, yeah.
Well, also, apparently, they weren't supposed to do that because
Mm,
when I was in there for Sequoia's birth, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I started pushing at, +2," and they're like, "No, you didn't." I was like, "Yes, I did." And they're like, "No, there's no way you started pushing at +2." And I was like,
check the
"Yes,
check.
I did."
That's
And,
crazy.
yeah, so it could have been that nurse that was, like, in there with me. She
Mm,
probably was, like, keeping it mum or something, I don't know.
mm. Do you and have you ever researched or have you ever asked anyone, like, what with, like, wrapping, with the cord being wrapped, was it a part of, like,
Mm.
when you were pushing, or was it already wrapped and, like, we're thanking God he
Uh,
came out when he did type of
right.
situation?
I didn't ask. Sequoia's also was wrapped. I was also wrapped. So I'm very curious if it's, like, genetic.
Mm,
Like, maybe it just grows that way for my kids. I have no idea. But yeah, it definitely seems to be a trend for my family, at
yeah.
least.
Definitely makes sense of why you're like, "Am I adopting next or am I" yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
already, just in general, being pregnant and being birthed, just all of the unknowns.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh
Mm.
my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I understand you wanting, I know that Adam, almost said Abel. Adam had shared it before and we had cut it out because he wanted to do it justice. And so I'm glad that you shared with us.
Yeah. I mean, now seeing that it took me almost 30 minutes and I left out a lot,
Yeah.
there's no way that there was
Enough
justice
time.
done.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, thanks for listening. And if anybody else listening wants to share their story or even want to be on the podcast and share the story, we'd be happy to have you. So just let us know.
All right. Well, thank you again, Tempest, for sharing your story. And thank you all for listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and please leave any comments if you want to share your story in our comments as well. But we will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.